Hi everyone, I'm VortexTCG and welcome back to First Draft, the series where I give you my first draft of an upcoming deck in an upcoming booster pack. And today is going to be more of a meta deck, but it has a very unique addition in the deck now, and that is Blue Flare. Blue Flare is known as kind of like a boogeyman in some situations, where it is this crazy OTK deck that can win on like turn 2 and 3 very easily, but it also has sometimes a very bricky start. And with BT15, there are actually some interesting cards that you could be playing in Blue Flare going forward, and one of the cards I'm going to be highlighting today is going to definitely help the strategy quite a bit. But if you're looking forward to this first draft of a brand new deck in Blue Flare, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel, and also follow me on Twitter. I'll leave a link in the description down below. But let's get into the deck profile, and we're going to be starting off. Let's start off with the Digi Egg. It is 4 Wanyamon. A simple card here, allows you to if you have a blue tamer in play, draw 1 card. You're going to need a lot of draw power in this deck because you're going to need to find your pieces quite a lot. So yeah, you play 4 of the Wanyamon. Going on to rookies, and we have 4 Gaussmon from BT10. On deletion, you may play a level 4 Digimon card with blue flare traits from your hand, suspended without paying its cost. This is a huge card for the archetype. It essentially allows you to play a lot of the level 4s that will give you additional effects when you do play them out, such as searching, such as drawing, such as a little bit of stun, and also potentially playing a free tamer. So yeah, this card is extremely strong, keeps the aggression and keeps your consistency high, so you have to play 4 of it in this deck. Going on to another Gaussmon now, and it is the EX4 Gaussmon. Your turn, once per turn, when a card with blue flare trait is played, draw 1, and when a card with Twilight trait is played, return 1 Digimon card with Digicross requirements from your trash to your hand. Most important thing is that it counts itself, so when you play this card, you're able to draw 1 card. And also it has the Tamer as well, which is also Twilight, so you can start returning things if needed. A bit counterintuitive for the deck because you're able to use Digicross requirements from the trash for most part, but yeah, definitely a thing you've got to keep an eye out for, because it can definitely change the tide of your game. So yeah, you play 4 Gaussmon in this deck. And going on to the first level 4 you're going to be playing, it is BT10 Greymon. Has the on-play effect of you reveal the top 4 cards of your deck, add 2 cards with blue flare among their traits and then to the hand, and then put the rest to the bottom of the deck in any order. And then if you have a Kiriha in play, you may return 1 Metal Greymon from your trash to your hand instead. And on deletion, it has save. A lot of the level 4s have save in this deck. And then it has an inheritable effect of when attacking, if this Digimon has blue flare in its traits and your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play, unsuspend this Digimon. This card is a huge resource loop for the deck. Getting 2 cards is very, very strong in this deck, and we'll see why later on in this deck profile. The save is also important, and surprisingly, the returning a Metal Greymon sometimes is also very pivotal for the deck, because sometimes you just find yourself having trouble finding those cards when you need them the most. So yeah, you play 4 of this Greymon in your deck. Going on to the lone copy of Decadramon from BT10. On play, draw 1, and then for the rest of for each Digimon your opponent has in play, draw an additional card. On deletion, it has save, and then all turns, while your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play, this Digimon gains 1k DP. The main thing we want here is obviously the draw power. Sometimes you can fill up your board, well, you fill your opponent's board with like a bunch of stuff, and then you just play this guy and then you get a draw 6 in certain situations. It is insane, but it doesn't happen all too much, so we only have it as a one-off because we want to have it as like a tech option. We don't play the Deca Greymon in this deck, so we don't have any further utility for the Decadramon. But yeah, in this case it is just a draw card that can also save, and sometimes the inheritable comes up sometimes, but the 1k DP doesn't usually mean that much, so we only play 1 Decadramon. Going on to Male Birdramon from BT10, it has an on-play effect of if you have a Kiriha in play, you may return a Metal Greymon to your hand. If you do not have one in play, you get to play a Kiriha from your hand without paying the cost. Has the save effect, and then it has a when attacking effect. Once per turn, if this Digimon has blue flare in its traits and your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play, one of your opponent's Digimon can't attack or block until the end of the opponent's turn. Sometimes this is very useful for just playing out a tamer, because the tamers cost quite a bit anyways, but the main reason we want to be playing this is for the stun effect. The stun effect is very great and actually very important for the strategy as well, because this is kind of like a stun deck, and just being able to stun something that you can't stun with your Metal Greymon normally is, you know, quite important for the deck. So yeah, we play 3 Male Bergermon from BT10. We then have Male Bergermon from EX4. On play, one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level gains when attacking, lose 2 memory until the end of your opponent's turn. Also has on deletion save, and then inheritable jamming. This card is kind of busted, if I'm being honest, in this strategy, because essentially this just means that your guy has jamming, and with combination with the Greymon from starter deck 1, you're able to essentially swing for 2 checks and it'd be perfectly fine. And you can also unsuspend in this deck quite a bit, so it ends up just becoming potentially 4 swings at security that your opponent can't deal with. That on its own is important, and, you know, can make you win on turn 1 or, well, turn 1 or 2, depending on how much memory your opponent gives you. So yeah, we play 4 Male Bergermon in this list. Then we get on to the Greymon. Here we have the starter deck 1. This is the only red card we play in this deck. Has a simple inheritable of security attack +1. Like I mentioned before, this is just pretty much just to get rid of security, and with combination of the jamming Male Bergermon, this essentially is a 2-swinger or 4-swinger in certain situations as well. So for that reason alone, you've got to be playing this card at 3. Then we get on to the main card. It is the Metal Greymon. It has Material Save 2, so when this Digimon would be destroyed, you may place 2 of this Digimon's evolution sources that are this Digimon's Digicross requirements from the bottom of one of your opponent's, or one of your tamers. And then on play, it gains Rush for the turn, and then if you Digicross 3 of your opponent's Digimon with a number of Digi-Evolution cards less than or equal to this Digimon, can't attack or block until the end of your turn, has the Digicross requirements of Greymon and Male Bergermon, and they reduce it by 2. And yeah, there's a lot of things going on with this card. It's stun, it's got rush, it can stun up to 3 things on a turn, and if you combine it with certain things like the Male Birds or the Greymons, you could either stun more, you can go for more security, you can give it jamming, and yeah, this card does a lot. It is the main boss monster of the deck, so yeah, we obviously play 4 of it in the deck. It is your main piece in the deck. Then we get onto a new card from BT15. It is the Zudomon Ace. Has the normal Blast Digivolve effect, but on play and when Digivolving, trash any 2 Digievolution cards from your opponent's Digimon, then return one of your opponent's Digimon with no Digievolution cards to the hand. This is just a good piece of removal that also has legs, and it only costs 4. Usually these kind of effects cost quite a lot of memory, so just having it on a level 5 is, you know, insane in certain situations. And yeah, I think this card is obviously just very good, and yeah, I think it's even better than the Metal Greymon that we would play previously. So yeah, we play 3 of the Zudomon Ace. We then have our final Digimon in the Z Greymon. You can Digivolve 2 from a Metal Greymon. When Digivolving, unsuspend this Digimon. Then if a Blue Flare or Cross Heart in its traits in this Digievolution cards and your opponent has 2 or more Digimon in play, you gain 2 memory. Then it has on deletion save, and then you place 1 Blue Greymon and 1 Blue Male Bergermon from your trash under one of your tamers with General in its traits. And then opponent's turn inheritable effect. While this Digimon has Blue Flare in its traits, it gains Blocker. So yeah, this is kind of like just another way that we're able to swing with the deck. We usually are able to hit that 2 Digimon on the field quota because they tend to overextend. So essentially we're able to go for 2 swings potentially with the Metal Grey, and then go for an additional 2 swings with the Z Grey, depending on the combination of the Greymons and the Male Bergermons. So yeah, this is just a really good finisher. It's a Digivolve for free in most situations. So yeah, you play 2 of it in the deck. Then we get on to the big support card for this deck, and that is Supreme Connection from BT15. This is a Machinedramon support card, but it ends up actually working very, very well in Blue Flare also. So let's talk about it. It has a main effect of reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Machine or Cyborg trait among them to your hand, and trash 1 card with the Machine or Cyborg trait among them. Put the rest of the bottom, top of the rest of the top of the deck, and then place this card in the battle area. And then it has a delay effect of play one level 5 or higher Digimon card with a machine or sideboard trait from your hand with the cost reduced by 3. And it has a security effect of reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add one card with machine or sideboard trait to the hand, and then trash one card with machine or sideboard trait, and then put the rest of the top of your deck and then place it in the battle area. So why is this card good? Well, a lot of your level 4s and level 5s, in fact the main level 5 you're looking for, are machine / cyborg. So essentially this just becomes an additional search card within the deck. Not only that, it also reduces the cost by 3 when you were to play a level 5 or higher Digimon. This means you can essentially get your Metal Greymons out for 0 cost. Yeah, that's pretty good, I would say. So yeah, and just for that alone, it is insane. This helps you go for OTKs in certain situations because maybe you won't have the memory. Well, Supreme Connection fixes that for you. Now, I know what the big issue might be for a lot of you, and it's that it's a black card. But we have to remember that we are also playing the Duo Tamer in Kiriha and Nene, which allows you to facilitate some black option cards, and this one I think is very good, so we play 4 of it in the deck. Then we have Blazing Memory Boost. It has the effect, reveal the top 6 cards of your deck. You may add 2 cards with the blue flare in their traits amongst your hand, and then play 1 Kiriha among them without paying the memory cost, and then you place the rest at the bottom of the deck in any order, and then you place this in the battle area, and then delay, gain 2 memory. And then it has a security effect of placing this in the battle area. There's not really much you can say about this card. It has pretty much everything the deck needs. It needs the Tamer, it needs the Search, and it also needs the 2 memory on the following turn. This card is a no-brainer to play at 4, and yeah, you just have to play it at 4 because it just is insane. Think about it this way, all the Tamers you play in this deck cost 4, so essentially if you're able to get the 2 Search and find a Tamer, not only are you playing this for way above its memory cost itself, but yeah, you gain a lot of advantage too. So it might pass your turn, but it's worth it in the long run, so you play out 4. Then we play 3 Saurai. Main effect, trash the top 4 Digievolution cards of one of your opponent's Digimon until the end of your opponent's turn. Your opponent's Digimon with no Digievolution cards can't attack. And then it has the security effect, which allows you to activate the main effect. This is a huge card to disrupt your opponent, especially in certain boards, because a lot of the decks at the moment play out a lot of level 3s that don't have sources. So just being able to slow them down for a pretty low cost, in my opinion, is good enough for me. Probably one of the better option cards you can be playing in this deck, so I play it at 3 in the deck. Tamers, we have Kiriha at 3. Has the normal set to 3 effect, and then when you would play a Digimon with Digicross requirements, by suspending this Tamer, you may place cards from under your Tamers as Digievolution cards for a Digicross. This essentially just means that, you know, you're able to use your save effects on your Digimon, because, you know, sometimes you wouldn't be able to do that unless you had a Tamer like this. So yeah, you play 3 of it. And speaking of the 4th one, it is 4 copies of Kiriha and Nene. This counts for both of their names fully, but at the start of your main phase, if there are 2 or more Digimon in play, gain 1 memory. And then all turns, when you would play a Digimon with the Blue Flare or Twilight trait with Digicross requirements, by suspending this Tamer, you may place 1 card from under your Tamers and 1 card from your trash as Digievolution cards for a Digicross. This essentially just means that the ultimate connection is kind of broken because you're able to get stuff back from the trash that you discarded. But not only that, if your Tamers were to somehow be destroyed, you're able to then use the ones that are underneath the Tamers originally. And yeah, this just essentially means that you have to find less resources within your game plan instead of just having them all under 1 Tamer. Some of them can be in the trash if they do get to the trash in certain situations. So yeah, you play 4 of this in the deck. And now we are going to the alternative options that you can be playing in Blue Flare. If I'm being perfectly honest, there isn't really that many options that you can be playing outside of these cards, because I think overall there isn't really much. You pretty much play everything that is in the archetypes so far, so you don't really have much ways to change it. in my opinion. So let's talk about the other cards that you can be playing in Blue Flare. The first one here is Missimon. It's an egg and it has on deletion. If you have a Digimon in play, draw 1. You can play this one. Sometimes it might be a little bit more consistent. It's got a lower barrier rate, entry barrier rate, but the Tamer one is just so much more consistent in my opinion, and it's on deletion, draw 1. Maybe it feels like when attacking, draw 1, but as it's on deletion, I think it is not that great. It does have the Blue Flare trait, but that doesn't really matter, so yeah, we don't play this egg. Another card that you could play is the EX4 Greymon. This has an on-play or reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Kiriha and 1 blue or black dip card with Digicross requirements among them to your hand, and then trash the rest. Has the save effect, and then when attacking, draw 1. This is somewhat nice consistency, but in reality, the red one just outshines this completely, and it does way more now, especially as we don't play the other Metal Greymon from EX4, which requires you to have a blue Greymon. So yeah, we don't play this one. It has some nice draw capabilities and searching, but just not enough, unfortunately. You might find this a little bit weird, but you could play Metal Garurumon from BT15. This has a alternate evolution thing which allows you to, if you have a Tamer, Matashida, for example, in its name, and your opponent has a Digimon with 10k DP or more, one of your Gabu may digivolve into this card from your hand for a Digievolution cost of 4, ignoring the requirements. That part isn't really important. What is important is that it has Invade. When digivolving, 3 of your opponent's Digimon and Tamers can't suspend until the end of your opponent's turn. All turns, once per turn, when this Digimon becomes suspended, you may unsuspend this Digimon. This is essentially just another potential swing turn, and as it unsuspends itself, it might have some good utility, especially if you go into, you don't go into Z Grey, maybe you go into this instead, you get some protection with the evade, you get to stun some stuff as well. There might be some playability with this card, we'll have to check it out maybe when the set comes out. But yeah, this is a decent option that you could be playing. I just don't play it in my version currently. Finally, for the Digimon, we have Omnimon. You all know what Omnimon does when Digivolving Blitz, when Digivolving unsuspend this Digimon, and then if your opponent's effect would delete this Digimon or return it to the owner's hand or deck, you may prevent it from leaving by trashing a level 6 Digimon card in this card's Digievolution cards. This essentially is just another win condition. Maybe you just need that extra swing and you can't find it. Well, Omnimon can definitely help in that situation. My only issue that I have with this card is that I feel like it is definitely hard to find in this deck. You don't have that much draw, you have search, and not really much searches Omnimon, so you're just kind of hoping that you hard draw into the Omnimon. So there are some utility, maybe it will help you finish up a game when you couldn't normally, but yeah, I don't play it in my version of the deck. Another black option card that you could be playing is DG Dimension. When you would use this card, if you have a Black Tamer in play, reduce the cost by 1, and then main effect, de-digivolve 1, 3 of your opponent's Digimon, and then delete 3 of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 6 or less. I think this card has become way better now with the introduction of aces, especially as they are relatively cheap play cost wise, so you can get rid of a lot of the level 5s and maybe some of the level 6s as well. Not only that, just de-digivolving a whole board essentially is kind of crazy, and you can reduce it further, and when you hit it in security it feels insane. So yeah, I think there are definitely ways you could potentially add this to the deck. Maybe you don't want to play Sori anymore, you want to play DG Dimension, but yeah, I don't play in my version of the list. And then final card that I just want to showcase is another option card that you'll be playing, which is Full Moon Meteor Impact. Main effect, return one of your opponent's Digimon to the hand, then gain 1 memory for every 4 cards in your opponent's hand. And the security effect is return one of your opponent's Digimon to the hand. This card has some utility, just a bounce on its own is kind of nice, and there is not really many options for bouncing in the Digimon card game, and this isn't locked by a level, this is just any Digimon, so yeah, I think this card has got some utility in the deck, but I think the issue is that it does cost a bit too much. Yeah, you'll gain memory for every 4 cards your opponent has, but unfortunately I think that is just not enough. Maybe if this costs like 6 or something, it would be way better, but yeah, not really much unfortunately about it. Anyways, that has been my first draft of Blue Flare. In my opinion, I think Blue Flare is kind of like a sleeper in the next format. I think there are a lot of utility and a lot of tools that you can potentially add to this deck to make it maybe like a tier 2 contender in the upcoming format, especially with the Digimon support that is supposed to be for Digimon, but has actually worked well in Blue Flare. But let me know what you think about Blue Flare and my first draft of the deck in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode of First Draft.